Warm-hearted viewers, this is Start ANEW on his coming broadcasting network. The term Start ANEW is an acronym which stands for sunlight, temperance, air, rest, trust in God, alternative medicine, nutrition, exercise, and water. Today, we are honored to feature Dr. Samuel Dizon on our program.
Welcome to another episode of HCBN's Start ANEW program. This episode will be talking about how to mend a broken heart, not emotionally but physically. When we have patients with heart problems, usually some of them are just taking medications for maybe 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and they still have problems with their heart. Patients who've undergone bypass surgery or angioplasty still do have heart attacks and still have their medications. Actually, they had more medications for their heart. So is there no hope for a broken heart? Is there really need for surgery for patients with clogged up arteries? We'll be presenting two cases that we work with successfully and the principle involved in how to treat a heart with a problem. And the nice thing about this is just concentrating on nutrition. And it's basically cheaper. An angioplasty and a bypass surgery would cost almost $500,000 or more. And for an ordinary farmer or ordinary Filipino, it's very, very steep. So we find ways, instead of doing surgery on the heart, we rehabilitate the heart. And I think that's a better option than maybe doing transplant or transplant, of course, is your last resort. But if it's possible to do other things before you go through that way, then it may be a big help. So our title is Mending a Broken Heart. These two cases came from our Subic Bay Wellness Center. It's a hospital in Subic where we work with patients that are in not so in terrible straits. We have a case here of an elderly man, a 72-year-old male from Bataan, and he came for the first time from Guam in 2004 to our hospital. He couldn't hardly breathe. He is unable to lie down flat on his back. He needs 3-4 pillows in order to be able to sleep. His legs were swollen. He was having chest pains. They did a 2D echo in Guam, and they found out that they have to either do a bypass surgery or valvular replacement. But he was 72 years old and he was afraid to do surgery. They also did an ECG and an angiography, and they found out an old myocardial infarction. That means there was a blockade in the left lateral wall of his heart. That means in the left side of his heart. And so they told him we need to do surgical intervention. He was afraid. If he does valvular replacement or bypass surgery, both are high risk for his age, at age 72. So he said, no, I'm going to go back to the Philippines and look for other ways. So he came to us, and unfortunately, he didn't want to do a hospital setup. He said, I'm allergic to people wearing whites. I don't want to stay in the hospital. Well, his lips were like a little bit bluish, his feet were swollen, and the blood vessels in his legs were all black. And so he could not even raise up one leg, and he'd walk from here to here, maybe a meter or a meter and a half, and he would really have shortness of breath. So when that happens, when you are unable to lie down flat on your back, and you're having swelling on the legs, and you're having difficulty breathing, we call that congestive heart failure. So the heart is failing as a pump. So that is the medical approach would be to give diuretics so that they will urinate more and give something to make the heart pump stronger. When they did an ultrasound, we found out that he had an hepatic cyst and fatty liver, so that means he's been having problems with cholesterol from day one. And then his chest x-ray showed enlarged heart and some problems with the pulmonary and kidney area. So what we did is we confined him in a hotel. He said, Doc, I don't want to be in a hospital. And then I had a nurse, actually 2 nurses and 1 therapist stay with him and watch him really closely. And of course, I have him sign a waiver that he doesn't want to stay in the hospital. We started to give him omega oil blood thinners. We gave him herbs that can strengthen the pumping action of the heart, and we'll put him on what we call Diet A. That's when you liquefy the food. Every time you digest food, you spend about 2 hours of energy to digest food. And the heart is actually affected when you have to digest food. As normal people, when we eat, we feel sleepy after eating. That's because the blood is pooling in the digestive system as it tries to work from a 35 to 40 feet long intestinal tract. If you have a heart problem and then you eat heavy, and especially at night you lie down, you're giving a hard load on the heart. So we've had patients that end up in the hospital at maybe 2 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the morning because they ate a heavy dinner and then they lie down and then their heart started giving up on them. So he stayed with us for a few weeks. First a few days he started getting better, energy started improving. We were doing actually acupuncture to stimulate the electrical field of the heart. You know, when they have a heart attack, you do electroshock therapy to make the heart function better. But you don't need to do that. It can burn the chest. There are points in the body that you can stimulate with your fingers, you know, or with electrical stimulation or with lasers so that the heart can be stimulated. So the bluish discoloration in the mouth disappeared and he was even able to swim in the pool. After a month, we had a repeat to the echo. Now, previously, his cardiologist in Guam told him, you need emergency surgery because you're already having congestive heart failure, but he didn't want to. Now, after one of us stay in the hotel, we had him checked up in town by a cardiologist, and they did a repeat to the echo. The cardiologist says, oh, sir, you don't need to do emergency surgery. You can wait until you're 80 years old, then you can do surgery. He was happy, so his wife said, if they can get results in a month's time like that, stay for 2 months more. Needless to say, he went home, was in good shape, and he would come every 6 months from Guam to here just for follow-up. He's been doing fine ever since. So he's now, that was 2004, so imagine he was 72 then, and he's still in good shape. The second case is an old lady again, about 70-year-old woman from Bulacan, may Kawayan. And he came to us with the same presentation, but this time the test showed that he'd already had a heart attack and also a weakness on the, I think, left side of the body. It was found out that his heart is not that bad, but a 2D echo of her carotid artery showed that one side was 99% blocked and the other side is about 70 or 80% blocked. So they wanted to do a bypass. Since this is blocked, then they're going to have to get a blood vessel from the inguinal area, and from the heart goes to the brain because this is blocked. Can you imagine the surgery it's going to take to have another blood vessel from the heart going to the brain? So you have to open it from here. I don't know how they're going to be doing that, but stopping circulation to the brain can be very dangerous. So she didn't want to do the surgery, and she said, I'm too old for that. So we worked on her. She stayed for about, this time she was in hospital, Subic Bay Medical Center, and what we did is we started working with her. Her EKG, her ECG, when she first came in, showed that there were severe blockade in the heart also. Actually, if you will read, it says, severe right internal carotid artery disease, 80 to 99% on the right, and on the left, 49% blockade. So the 2D echo showed also problems with the heart, the valves of the heart, but they were not thinking of doing surgery then. It's for the neck area that they wanted to do surgery. Well, she stayed for 2 weeks. Her first EKG showed the rhythm is normal, that below the heart and somewhere in the front side, that's the anterolateral wall, it says, that means in the front, and beneath that, the heart, there were already blockade, starting oxygen deficit. So we started working with her, and after 2 weeks, she was feeling so good that she went home. So she didn't stay the 2 weeks time. And when she went home, we repeated her EKG after 4 months. Oh, is it 2 months? Yeah, I think 4 months. And it was now non-specific STT wave changes. So from severe blockade, it was now very minor. And then after another few months, normal reading. No, we've had patients that in a matter of 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, there were improvements in EKG, but she took a long time because she was not really that active anymore. The paralyzed area is. So there was, her stay in the hospital was uneventful. She basically improved, no more chest pain, able to lie flat on her back and when she went home. But what did we do? So that's the secret. What can you do if you're not where we're at? If you can't do all the treatments we're doing. Well, to understand how to treat this, then we have to understand that the heart has 4 chambers and it pumps. The upper part would pump first and then the lower part would pump second. So as it pumps, it pushes blood out to the different blood vessels. Unfortunately, a diet rich in high cholesterol, at least the bad cholesterol, can produce problems in our blood vessels. They're now blaming homocysteine as the one that's damaging the arteries. But what predisposed or what caused the homocysteine to go up in the first place? Well, countries with a high level of fat in their diet ends up with disease like this. This is an example of what an artery would look like if it was clogged up with too much cholesterol and damaged areas. So this would be it. Notice that this is the lining, the inner aspect of the artery. It should have been about this size. But cholesterol and other blood elements that damage the arteries make it smaller and smaller and smaller. So when your blood is flowing there, when it should be this big, then it hardens with calcium deposits. And when the heart pumps, the blood vessel that should be about this big is now tighter. So when the heart has to pump against a tighter, harder, less resilient pathway all over the body, that is what we call high blood pressure or hypertension. If the blood vessel gets clogged up in the brain, we call it a stroke. If it ends up in the, it clogs up the heart, then it's a stroke, but it's a cardiac stroke. It's a heart attack. See, if your cholesterol is more than 200 to 250 milligrams, in 3 years, this will be the calcium deposit around your artery. In 5 years, you will have that. In 7 years, you'd have this, and in about 10 years, see how blocked it can be. When during the Vietnam War, healthy young American soldiers were killed in actions. They were healthy, they were strong, they were carrying heavy loads in their back. But when they did an autopsy, they found out that their blood vessels in the heart, the coronary artery, is about 80 to 90% blocked. And they were still, so the body is capable of coping even if you have about 50, 60, 70% blockade. But see, it's not just being blocked or tightened. What about the ability of the blood to block a tightened pathway? That's why patients are given blood thinner. So it's not just that the narrowing of the artery, but also taking medicine to thin out the blood. And then, again, if you have high cholesterol, the higher the risk for heart attack or for hypertension. So basically, this program, Mending a Broken Heart, will also help with hypertension because they are almost the same, let's say, same animal. Okay. So there are some ways wherein good cholesterol can be elevated. Alcohol, which is actually red wine, pesticide, and aerobic exercise. Of course, we will choose aerobic exercise, right? The advice to treat high cholesterol is if it's 200 to 240 or very high, they advise anti-cholesterol medications. But anti-cholesterol medications have side effects. One of these is damaging the liver and leading to suicidal tendency and depression. So you don't want to do that. So if you can just use other things to lower bad cholesterol, diet and exercise will be easier to use. So the advice is decrease saturated fat, decrease dietary cholesterol. See, this is more the preventive aspect. Increase exercise, stop smoking, control diabetes, and see your doctor because your doctor has to watch whatever reactions there may be. See, heart disease is a traitor. It's just waiting for you to have some reaction. You get so happy, you get so sad, you are watching your favorite telenovela or some action movie, then you can have a heart attack just from the stress that generates. So, what is the diet that lower cholesterol? Well, retain ideal body weight, no animal products. If you have a heart problem, your body is trying to tell you, oh, you overdid it. So as long as there is a clog up place there, you should really stay away from what is causing the problem in the first place. I always tell my patient, if you don't stay away from butchered animals, they'll butcher you. The doctors will butcher you. Take whole grains, high fiber, small amount of oil, and of course we choose more of olive oil. Avoid tea and coffee. Because when your heart is already weak and then you take tea and coffee, tendencies for your heart to work too fast. And it's like someone who's got a sprain and you beat them so that they'll run more. It's not going to be a good effect, a good response on the heart. The heart is not going to respond well. So the only source of dietary cholesterol, well actually the bad cholesterol is in animal food. Actually our body produces our own bad cholesterol. People may eat a non-fatty meal, but they're eating often and have no exercise, their body's cholesterol can go up. Or if you're too stressed out, your body's cholesterol could go up. Or you're staying late at night, your body cholesterol can go up. So we don't really need bad cholesterol from the diet because our body can produce its own. Now good cholesterol on the other hand, we do have it, but we get it mostly from food. Fish, olive oil, flaxseed oil, these are good source of good cholesterol. Fruits, vegetables, grains, and nuts do not contain the bad cholesterol. Stored food also can contain cholesterol that can become more poisonous than animal cholesterol. Examples would be the custard, the margarine, the oil that has been reused. You cook and then reuse it. They become what we call trans fat. And trans fats have a direct killing effect on the smooth muscle cells of the heart. So the arteries of the heart. So they destroy it very fast. In 6 minutes, they're destroying heart arterial muscle cells. Okay, so there are food that can help lower cholesterol. Animal protein, it cannot lower bad cholesterol. But if you take vegetables, the protein of the vegetable has a lowering effect. So it's not just the fiber, it's not just the omega oil. It's also the type of protein that can help lower bad cholesterol. Patients would say, where am I going to get protein if I just eat vegetable? Having vegetable protein have other beneficial effect, not only in terms of bodybuilding. So a heart mending protocol will be like this. If the patient is in terrible condition, liquefy our food so that the digestive tract is not going to work harder. But there are patients with heart failure. It means they're unable to eliminate the fluid and they start building up fluid. So when that happens, you limit the fluid up to 8 glasses and then you stimulate sweating and urination so that there is no overload. And the patient should be complete bed rest, just in case the heart is weak, so he can just rest, high back rest. The drugs are continued because if we've been taking it for a long time, you cannot remove the patient from those medications immediately. If you can watch him, great, he'll be confined. Then you can slowly wean him off from his drugs. But if he is still taking it and he's from far away and you cannot watch him closely, let him take his medication. But give him herbs. And once the herbs are working, then slowly you can wean him off the drugs. Now, for medical doctors, that's a no-no. They say once you have a disease like heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, you are supposed to take your medicine for the rest of your life. We don't believe that. The heart disease, hypertension, diabetes are lifestyle disease. Change the lifestyle. You can maintain a good lifestyle rather than maintain a drug forever. Okay? For obvious reasons. Okay? But for emergency, we may need to take drugs, especially if the person is having a heart attack. Then we give herbs that will have a stronger pumping action for the heart. Example is cayenne or capsicum, siling labuyo. Okay? When you take it, your heart will pump stronger. If the blood pressure is high, it will normalize it down. If it's low, it will normalize it up. Then ginseng. Ginseng is a cardiotonic. You get energized. You feel weak, not only will it strengthen your heart, but your system. But if you're taking coffee and drinking other things, your blood pressure will shoot up because the coffee is a stimulant and then the ginseng is also a stimulant. Then we give coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 is a chemical component that works directly on the mitochondria of the cells, especially on the heart. If a patient is taking anti-cholesterol drug like Lipitor or statins, somehow it affects the production of coenzyme Q10. So a patient who is on anti-cholesterol medication can later have weak heart from the problem. So the advice is to take coenzyme Q10 when you're taking Lipitor. But my thinking is, what is the purpose of Lipitor? To lower cholesterol. Where do you get the cholesterol? Animal products. So stay away from the animal products and you're not going to need. When the arteries have been unclogged and the patient is really hard-headed and wants to eat meat, we allow white meat on chicken, but maybe once in a blue moon if you really you really want to do it. But maybe you shift to what we call transitional protein like veggie meat, tofu. These kind of things actually help lower cholesterol because they bind with them. Now we also give vasodilators. These are herbs that open up the blood vessels so that it will not be too tight. And so we give herbs like ginkgo biloba, we give herbs, again, we give cayenne pepper, we give garlic, we give onions. These are herbs that has a direct opening up in terms of circulation. See, when you take your medication for blood pressure and heart disease, the purpose is to dilate the blood vessel. So if you have high blood pressure, it's so tight, you take maybe Plendil, and it opens up and the blood pressure goes down. But tomorrow, there's no effect on the medication, it's going to tighten up again. So then that's the reason why you keep taking it forever. So you keep, close, open, close, open. Same thing with the blood vessel in the heart. You have chest pain, the tightened artery in the heart, less oxygen, so you take Isodil or something that will open up the blood vessel. But tomorrow, it can tighten up again. Why? Because of the calcium deposit around that area. So if you just want temporary things, there are alternative things that you can use. Then we give blood thinners. Normally, they'll give aspirin or Aspilet. They'll give Percentin. For severe cases, they'll give warfarin, which actually is rat poison. Dora rat killer is warfarin. And or Coumadin. So the patient will be taking this, and one advice that the conventional doctors would say is, if you're on Percentin, aspirin, or these blood thinners, stay away from omega oil, stay away from vitamin E, stay away from ginkgo biloba, because they will make the blood so thin you can have bleeding tendency. Now, given a choice between aspirin that has acidic side effect and can build up in the body for some time, or Percentin or rat poison, which is Coumadin, I'd just remove this and get the alternative blood thinner. For example, ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba is not just a blood thinner, it is anti-allergy. It's anti-asthma. It strengthens the lungs, the heart, the liver, the kidney. It opens up circulation to the brain. It helps with vertigo and deafness. It normalizes the brain chemistry and helps with memory. So instead of taking warfarin and staying away from ginkgo biloba because I want a blood thinner, I'd switch. I'd use something that has protective effect. It's anti-radiation. It's an antioxidant. When the Hiroshima-Nagasaki bombing was done in Japan, the only tree left standing and still alive today is a ginkgo tree. So it has a powerful anti-radiation effect. It stimulates cellular nerve regeneration. So I'd use it as a common thing for heart problem. Then we do megadosing of vitamin C so that the blood vessel will repair. So we've had patients with aneurysm. See, aneurysm is because of the high blood pressure. There becomes a weakness in the blood vessel. It starts opening up and becoming a sac-like thing. And that can burst. I remember that may have happened with NBI Chief Vicoco. It might have been one of the causes. Maybe his blood pressure shoot up, and it causes that to rupture. But we have patients with aneurysm. We gave megadoses of vitamin C. We maintain a blood pressure that is low. Within a month's time, that aneurysm healed. The body is capable of healing itself. One of the primary dogma of alternative medicine, natural healing, is the body can heal itself. So maybe we have a little bit more faith in how the Lord made this body, but we believe that, and so we get results. If the doctor doesn't believe there's going to be any good with whatever you do, then you're not going to get healing because he doesn't believe that you'll be healed in the first place. Oh, and then we give something to boost the oxygen level. So there are such things out in the market called cell food, liquid oxygen, and the like. Then we give liquid chlorophyll to support. What is liquid chlorophyll? This is the green stuff that comes from plants. And when you see animals getting sick, they would chew grass to get the chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is a blood builder. When you look at the molecular structure of chlorophyll and hemoglobin, which makes up our blood, hemoglobin has iron in the middle. Chlorophyll has magnesium, but they look the same, except for the iron and the magnesium. So alternative practitioner uses liquid chlorophyll, as a matter of fact, left and right. Then something to lower cholesterol. So you give fibers, you give red rice and polished rice, oatmeal. So that's how we would be working in. And then we give enzymes to dissolve the clots. So you give enzymes like papaya extract. There's a product in the market called nitokinase. It's being used even in mercury drug. There's also products like digestive enzymes that can help digest clog up arteries, open up. There are some techniques that are being used, like chelation and stem cell therapy. We used to do that with some of our patients, but they're kind of expensive. So what we'd like to be able to share with you is the ability that you can use simple herbs, simple things to get results that can unclog your heart, can help lower your cholesterol, can lower your risk of heart attack, and open up and normalize your blood vessels so that your blood pressure will go down. Or go to normal. And then physical therapy. Of course, if the patient can walk and there's no edema, he should walk. Walking would be your simplest exercise. If fluid is building up in the legs, we wrap it with cellophane or charcoal so that the legs will sweat out and less water there. Complete bed rest if having problem breathing, but if he can breathe, then he can feel better and he can walk. Notice the first patient we were saying, he was able to go swimming within a month's time. Prior to that, when he came, he could hardly walk from here to there. What else? Well, we did acupuncture, we advised massage away from the heart, at least to make the bodies and the blood circulate better. We have do sunlight therapy, because sunlight can lower your blood pressure up to 5 days of a single exposure. Can lower your bad cholesterol, can help with sugar level, make you sleep better. So sunlight is a free treatment, You can just do sunbathing. And if you include that with a short walk, then you get double, and the deep breathing exercise. Then, of course, stress control, okay? Prayer and counseling. There's research in science that prayer works. People who have a deeper sense that somebody up there likes them has less chance of getting stressed. And they feel, everything is in control. God is in control. He will help me through this. God loves me. So patients with a fighting spirit have a better chance of recovery than those who surrender to their illness. So we tell our patient, your attitude can help you. You're either a survivor or a victim. If you're a victim, talo ka. You're already surrendering. But if you're a survivor, you will have this attitude. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. Diba? That makes it, there is a purpose for this. I can do this. Okay, because God will not allow you to go through suffering and trials. If in order for you to heal yourself, you need $500,000 pesos for bypass and angioplasty, what kind of God allows that to happen to you? It's like a parent having a child carry a drum of water. That's a sadistic God, right? For maintenance, when you're already okay, your blood pressure problems are okay, then you go on a low-fat, low-protein diet, high complex carbohydrate diet with evening meal as your lightest or in liquid form, depending on your condition. Then maybe you can have stress control, go to church, sing. Paul and Silas, when they were beaten up and put in prison, their way to handle being chained and beaten and awaiting maybe execution the following morning, what did they do? They sang. And their song shook the prison and freed them. They stayed in the situation they were in, and because of the way they handled their problem, others were led to Christ's feet. Regular exercise in moderation, because if you exercise regularly, even if you have a clogged up blood vessel, new blood vessels will form, bypassing. So that's the natural bypass. Natural bypass is your body will look for alternative pathway since there's a clogged up area. Okay, so God is a God of love. Okay, sunlight therapy. What else? Spiritual enhancement. You need the Lord in your life. And is there more? Adequate rest. See, the Lord gave us the night to sleep, not to do Facebook, not to. And of course, if you check your scriptures, you will know that there are other things that you should do in order to gain adequate rest. And stay away from stimulants, caffeine, too much chocolates, soft drinks. The caffeine there really hyper-stimulate the heart in such an extent that you not only become emotionally unstable, but also your heart will be unstable in the way it functions. We give vitamin B complex also if there's a problem with the electrical field of the heart. And you may retain some of the basic herbs like ginkgo biloba, maybe garlic, maybe ginger, maybe cayenne pepper. So these are your optional drugs. For really severe case, we advise that you have a health professional watching you. But if you don't have a health professional and you really want to try, there are books in the market, in the internet, books by Dr. Dean Ornish, Nathan Pritikin, who had a heart problem before and he was supposed to be for surgery, but he followed the Asian diet and got well, Asian and Mediterranean diet. See, just diet. So we have patients that they just moved their dinner before 6, and within 2 to 3 months, and they didn't eat meat, of course, within 2 to 3 months, you see the ECG becoming normal. It's fascinating when you see how God can work with people who don't have enough money to buy meat. Actually, being poor is a benefit. So again, we say, beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper in health, even as your soul prospereth. We are sharing these things with you because we believe that health need not be expensive. You can do things maybe that you can buy in the market and utilize for your own health and for your families.
View the whole Start a New program starting with the opening interview with Dr. Samuel Thiessen, parts 1 and 2, and the closing interview. There are lectures on what is natural healing on Christianity, parts 1 and 2. God's marvelous self-healing body. Cancer, it can be prevented, parts 1 and 2. Alternative program for kidney disease. Diabetes. Whys and hows of detox. Learn about modalities used for healing such as body massage, hot stone massage, ventosa, charcoal pack, charcoal wrap, enema, and facial clay treatment. A video demo on how to prepare concoctions is also available. Watch the question and answer section recorded before a live audience. And enjoy the bonus sections on medical missionary work also recorded before a live audience. Thank you, and may God keep you in good health.